Well, we're really excited today to introduce Google Instant, which is a whole new way to search. It follows the same paradigm as search normally does. You type your query and you get results, but we actually stream the results to you. So with each letter you type, we do a search and present you with information. And it's not even so much search as you type as it's search before you type. Based on what you've typed so far, we look at common completions that other searchers have done and bring you the results for those queries.
Given that there's going to be more pages being surfaced and people will probably be searching more, how do you think this is going to impact Google's revenues? How do you think it changes the way you calculate the ad impressions, the lag, etc.?
I think it's too early to say in terms of what overall happens with the revenue. That said, we do believe this is something that's really good for users, and what's good for users is good for advertisers and generally very good for our business. So we're very hopeful. In terms of how we calculate impressions, one of the things that advertisers tend to look at is their click-through rate. How many clicks do they get for how many times their ad was seen? But of course, now we have to consider how many times was their ad seen. So we define an impression in the new Google Instant paradigm to be when someone actually clicked on a result or on an ad, or if the user paused for more than 3 seconds. So all of those count as impressions in the denominator of a click-through rate.
Gotcha. And during the Q&A of the conference, someone mentioned that, is SEO dead? And you guys didn't really fully elaborate on what kind of effects this might have on SEO. So do you want to take an opportunity to explain what do you think Google Instant will do to SEO?
Well, as I said, I think that one thing that's happening here is with Google Instant, search becomes easier, but it's still search. You still type your results, your queries, we still rank the results. And what overall happens here is that the ranking remains stable. So for people who have optimized their site to achieve a certain outcome, that's still the outcome when users do those queries. And so we really think that it will be a smaller change for the SEO community. I think it's hard to tell at this early stage exactly what the learning effects will be, how a user's behavior will change. But on the whole, basically the ranking that you've already achieved for your site and the optimization you've already done will continue to reap rewards for you and still will be the same search ranking function.
And I know you're going to be rolling it out to the mobile web and as well as different countries, but how about rolling it out to different parts of Google search, like images, Google News? How will that eventually come out for Google Instant?
Well, we intend to roll this out on all of our different platforms, search properties, different languages, different platforms, as quickly as we can. So much like our auto-completion technology that offers the suggestions below the search box, that started on web and then we began rolling it out both internationally and on new products. We think that this will follow a very similar rollout path.
Is there a timeline or a priority list for this in the rollout?
We have some idea of the overall priorities, but in general we think this is a great feature, we think it's a big differentiator, and we're excited to get this on as many platforms and as many geographies as we can, as quickly as we can.
How do you think this is going to change the way users interact with search? How do you think it fundamentally changes human behavior by having Google Instant there as opposed to the traditional Google search?
Well, I think one of the things that I've seen in my own personal usage is that while each search is faster, I spend more time doing searches because I actually see the results, come in and out as I'm doing my searches, and so I learn things as I go. And after I've actually fulfilled my query, a lot of times I'll see interesting suggestions and I'll kind of scroll around and learn different things. So I think ultimately it really may increase engagement of our users.
And my final question is, are you concerned at all about people being intimidated by the way Google search is trying to anticipate what they're looking for? I mean, obviously this crowd is very tech savvy, but when you talk to moms perhaps who are not so tech savvy or other demographics, are you worried about easing in the population getting used to Google Instant?
Well, I think the most interesting analogy we've heard is that Google Instant is kind of like power steering. And I'm sure there were people who were afraid of power steering. Would they remain as strong? Would they remain as good a driver if they actually had a technological advance that made steering easier? But I think that what we've seen is that it just actually makes driving easier and more fun. And I think that's what Google Instant does for search. And we know that when our users get used to using it, because our employees have been using it now for some time and it goes away, something you really miss because it does make you a better searcher, it makes you a more engaged searcher, it does make searching easier and more fun. Well, one of the things we've seen with Google Instant is that it actually benefits slower typists a lot because the predictions are very accurate. It's very easy to get either the main prediction that shows up in the search box or any of the 5 predictions below. So for people who tend to type a little bit more slowly, they're actually able to construct much longer, more complicated specific queries with a lot more speed needs.
Related to that, I know you said once people get used to this that they tend to like it more, but what is the initial reaction to this? I mean, I showed this to my mom, and she's going to go to Google, which she's been used to for years now, and it's going to be very different. Is there kind of like a knee-jerk, like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Interestingly, a few thoughts here. One of the things we saw in usability studies was that for a lot of users, it's so intuitive that it takes them a few searches to even realize what's going on. Because they're just like, it's just sort of like,
so
you type a couple of queries. Well, it turns out, like they do notice it because we can see in the eye tracker that they look down at the results. But if you ask them if something's changed, they don't notice it right away. And we think this is because it's so intuitive. This idea that I type a couple of characters and get reasonably good results as a response, it makes me a lot more comfortable with the technology. So generally we found that users were able to pick up, use it, feel very comfortable right away. You saw some of the testimonials from some of our early user tests. In general, the feedback has been very positive from the beginning, and it tends to only improve actually over time.